Go forth, mind, body, and spirit, U.S. Department of Labor. Today we are reading about Age Discrimination Act of 1975. 42, United States Code, Section 6101-6107. Section 6101, Statement of Purpose. It is the purpose of this chapter to prohibit discrimination on the basis of age in programs or activities receiving federal financial assistance. Section 6102, Prohibition of Discrimination. Pursuant to regulation prescribed under Section 6103 of this title and except as provided by Section 6103B of this title and Section 613C of this title, no person in the United States shall, on the basis of age, be excluded from participation in, be denied in the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Section 6103 Regulations. A publication in Federal Register of the proposed general regulations, final general regulations, and anti-discrimination regulations effective date. 1. Not less than a year after the transmission of the report required to Section 6106B of this title, or 2.5 years after November 28, 1975, whichever occurs first, the Secretary of Health and Human Services shall publish in Federal Register proposed general regulations to carry out the provisions of Section 6102 of this title. 2A. The Secretary shall not publish such proposed general regulations under the expiration of a period comprised of 1. The 45-day period specified in the Section 6016E of the title, and 2. Additional 45-day period immediately following the period described in the Clause 1 during any committee of Congress have jurisdiction over the subject matter involved in any conduct hearing within respect to the report which Commission is required to transmit under Section 6106D of this title, and with respect to comments and recommendations submitted by federal departments and its agency under Section 6106E of this title. B. The 45-day period specified in subparagraph A3 shall include only days with both houses of the Congress are in session. 3. Not later than 90 days after the Secretary publishes proposed regulations under the paragraph 1, the Secretary shall publish in Federal Register final general regulations and carry out the provisions of Section 6106 of this title after taking into consideration any comments received by the Secretary with respect to the regulation proposed under paragraph 1. Not later than 90 days after the Secretary published the final general regulations under paragraph A3, the head of each federal department or agency which extends federal financial assistance to any programs, activity by the way of grant, entitlement, loan, contract, or any other contract of insurance or guarantee, shall transmit the Secretary as published in the Federal Register proposed regulation to carry out the provisions of Section 6102 in this title and provide appropriate investigative, conciliation, and enforcement procedures. Such regulations shall be consistent with the final general regulation issued by the Secretary and shall not become effective until approved by the Secretary. And lastly, 5. Notwithstanding any other provision of this section, no regulation issued pursuant to this section shall be effective before July 1st, 1979. B. Non-violative actions, program or activity exemption. It shall not be a violation of provision of this chapter or any other regulations issued under this chapter for any person to take any action for us prohibited by the provision of Section 6102 of this title if the program or activity involved is A. Such activity, reasonable activity takes account in the age factor necessary to the normal operations achievement of any statutory objective of such program or activity, or B. The differentiation made by such action is based upon reasonable factors other than age. 2. The provisions of this chapter shall not apply to any program or activity established under the authority of law which A. provides the benefits assistance to persons based upon the age of such persons, or B. establish criteria for participation in age-related terms and described intended beneficiaries or target groups in such terms. C. Last but not least, employment practices and labor management, joint apprenticeships, training program exemption, age discrimination in Employment Act unaffected. 1. except with respect to any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance or public employment under the Workplace Investment Act of 1998, 29 U.S.C. 9201 et sec. Nothing in this chapter shall be construed or authorized action under this chapter by federal department or agency with respect to any employment practice of any employer, employment agency, or labor organization, or with respect to any labor management joint apprenticeships training program. And 2. Nothing in this chapter shall be construed or amended to modify Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967, 29 U.S.C. 621 to 634 as amendment or to the effects of the right and responsibility of any person or party pursuant of the Act.